Welcome to the Spotlight Roundup, presented to you by Psychedelic Spotlight, your trusted source for news, information, and unique perspectives surrounding the emerging sector of medicinal psychedelics. I'm Autumn Tribbitt, and it's the week of June 21st, 2021. Ahead in this week's Roundup, California takes a big step forward towards legalizing psychedelics. Cybin taps a first-of-its-kind device to study the psychedelic effects of ketamine. MindCure completes the first stage of manufacturing pharmaceutical-grade ibogaine, and much more. So, let's get to your Roundup. Earlier this month, the state of California moved a step closer to decriminalizing psychedelic drugs after legislation was advanced by the state Senate. Senate Bill 519, which was introduced earlier this year and co-authored by California State Senator Scott Wiener, would allow the legal possession and sharing of certain hallucinogenic substances such as magic mushrooms, MDMA, LSD, ketamine, and ibogaine for those 21 years and older. The measure, however, would not decriminalize the sale of those hallucinogens, but it would direct the California Department of Public Health to create a task force to study the drugs and advise the state legislature on how to regulate them, similar to what is currently transpiring in the state of Oregon following the successful passage of Measure 109 last November. The bill, which was approved by State Senate in a 21-16 vote, still needs to get by the State Assembly, but represents another positive example of the gaining momentum behind psychedelics.
So SB 519, it really is at the crossroads of two very high priorities, not just for me, but for a lot of people, and I think for California in general. One is criminal justice reform, and one is mental health. Decriminalizing the possession of psychedelic drugs is part of our movement towards ending the war on drugs. We have taken a criminalization approach to drug use and to addiction for 50 plus years, and it's been a complete failure. It hasn't reduced drug use, it hasn't reduced addiction, it hasn't reduced overdose deaths, and again, psychedelics are not the ones that are really causing addiction and overdose deaths, but drugs in general. And then there's mental health. We have a mental health crisis in this country, and California is not immune. People who are struggling with mental health, with addiction, and they're not able to get the treatment they need. And we know that psychedelics can have significant benefits for people struggling with addiction, people struggling with mental health challenges. And so it's a win-win to say we're going to stop arresting people for possessing these drugs. It's not the global solution. We need the FDA to act. We need a lot of other things to happen, but this is one step that we can take.
Cybin Inc., a biotechnology company focused on progressing psychedelic therapeutics, has announced they are partnering with neurotech company Kernel to leverage the company's proprietary Kernel Flow wearable technology to measure ketamine's psychedelic effects on cerebral cortex hemodynamics. The first-of-its-kind device uses quantitative neuroimaging technology to measure brain activity in real time using a wearable helmet. To date, direct neuroimaging research of psychedelic effects has rarely been attempted, and never with a wearable device. Cybin's partnership with Kernel advances the biotech's mission to progress psychedelic therapies by using proprietary drug discovery platforms, innovative drug delivery systems, novel formulation approaches, and treatment regimens for mental health disorders.
The real breakthrough with the Kernel Flow device is its accessibility. The Kernel team has done a phenomenal job in miniaturizing this functional near-infrared spectroscopy technology down into a wearable helmet that can quantify brain activity in real time during a psychedelic treatment. For us, this increased accessibility means that we should be able to collect more frequent brain activity data on a longitudinal basis before, during, and after a psychedelic treatment, without having to put the patient in an uncomfortable fMRI machine. We're hopeful this first-of-its-kind ketamine study with the Kernel Flow device will be just the first step in helping us enhance our understanding of real-time brain activity during a psychedelic treatment. And that could have consequences for our internal R&D or for future clinical studies down the road with our psychedelic molecules.
In other related industry news, MindCure Health, a leader in advanced proprietary technology and research for psychedelics, recently announced its completion of the first stage of manufacturing pharmaceutical-grade ibogaine to be used in clinical research. In the coming weeks, the company plans to focus on the scale-up process by launching stage 2 of the manufacturing process for pharmaceutical-grade ibogaine. During this stage, the company will be running financial models while assessing the quality of the synthetic ibogaine when produced at scale in order to determine the timing of and economic viability for commercial-scale manufacturing.
We are tremendously excited about having finished the first stage of synthesizing ibogaine for a couple of reasons. I think first and foremost, this idea that the synthetic is a much better alternative for research, and we know that to be true by virtue of its consistency. The volume of research that people are interested in doing with respect to addiction and utilizing ibogaine is tremendous, and so we're really grateful to be at the front of the market in order to serve those people who are going to be advancing that research. And I think, when we look across the field, there are a lot of people focused on psilocybin and a variety of the other molecules, and not so many people focused on ibogaine. And I'm proud that we were first out of the gate to deliver the synthetic molecule. And I just think it shows great things to come, not only for MindCure, but for the industry on a whole, when we can prove that these things can come out of the lab and not draw on nature in a way, because we know the iboga plant is endangered, and we no longer have to rely on that. We can drive straight into the lab. So we're really proud to be first to market with it.
Now, as cannabis retail shops and outlets have become commonplace in many parts of the world over the last several years, the question many within the psychedelics community are asking is, will we ever see a psychedelic retail mushroom outlet? Well, a new partnership between Silo Wellness, a leading global psychedelics company, and Mushy Inc., a Canadian-based mushroom company, may very well bring the first legal, functional, and psychedelic mushroom retail outlet in the Western Hemisphere to Jamaica. Through the recently announced joint venture between the companies, Silo Wellness and Mushy will build out and operate a smart shop retail establishment specializing in the sale of functional and psychoactive mushroom products such as tinctures, capsules, topicals, and edibles, as well as boutique literature and accessories. Earlier this year, Silo Wellness announced a multi-year license agreement with the family of legendary musician Bob Marley for the exclusive worldwide rights to brand, market, and sell a distinct product line of functional and psychedelic mushrooms, which will be sold at the store upon launch.
As we continue to innovate within the psychedelic wellness industry, we see tremendous potential for retail operations, starting with our recently announced Smart Shop in Jamaica. Developed in partnership with Mushy Inc., this location creates an immediate route to market for our soon-to-be launched line with the Bob Marley family, and also serves as a blueprint for additional brick-and-mortar stores specializing in functional and psychedelic mushroom products such as tinctures, capsules, topicals, and edibles. These smart shops are consistent with our mission, which is to make psychedelics available today, wherever possible, to help people reduce trauma or enhance performance.
And finally, through the use of genetics, there is now a way to better understand one's sensitivity to psychedelics and ketamine. Earlier this month, Halogen Life Sciences, a wholly owned subsidiary of Inthian Biomedical, announced the release and availability of its psychedelics genetics test kit within the U.S. The first of its kind test kit analyzes a series of relevant DNA biomarkers along with pre-screening mental health surveys in order to provide insights into an individual's risk and potential of adverse reactions with the use of hallucinogenic drugs.
We are absolutely thrilled by the launch of Halogen Life Sciences genetic test kit within the US market. This is a very important date for us as the awareness and interest in psychedelic therapies grows. We at Inthian and Halogen Life Sciences want to ensure that those that are interested in going into some of these novel therapies are armed with all the facts about their own risk profiles, as well as what might inform what is an appropriate type of treatment to receive. So the Halogen Life Sciences genetic test kit is a very simple to use cheek swab test kit you can get at halogen.com. Once you receive the test, you can register that test in your name and then send back the test swab to Halogen Life Sciences in a postage prepaid way and have your results in a matter of days. Not only is it a genetic test kit, but also takes into consideration a variety of mental health surveys, family history surveys, as well as lifestyle surveys to compile a risk report that is intended to arm an individual with the facts about them so that they can spark a conversation with an appropriate psychedelic therapy provider.
And that's it for this week's Spotlight Roundup, presented to you by Psychedelic Spotlight, your trusted source for news, information, and unique perspectives surrounding the emerging sector of medicinal psychedelics. For more on the stories covered here, visit psychedelicspotlight.com. And be sure to check out the Psychedelic Spotlight podcast, where Global Track Solutions' David Flores and Jill Ettinger interview luminaries across the field of psychedelics and related industries. Subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you stream. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Autumn Tribbitt. Be well.